everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to the spring campaign for Arkham Horror, the card game. We're back from World War II Europe last week to pick up where we left off the spring campaign. We're headed to the Dreamlands this week for the third scenario for the Dreamers, as they venture to the dark side of the moon. First up, let's set the scene.
Intro 1. Over the next few days, you learn more about your captors.
Hang on, there's a little bit of intro that we need to get in. There's a little bit of intro setup that we need
Scenario
to
Scenario 3A, Dark Side of the Moon. Check the campaign log. If at least one investigator was captured, proceed to Intro 1. If no investigators were captured, skip to Intro 2.
Alright, unfortunately we did get Jenny captured, and we'll come back to that fact in a minute.
Intro 1. Over the next few days, you learn more about your captors, but nothing about the Black Galley's destination. It seems the Corsairs who hunted you down and captured you were only agents, or perhaps slaves of a much greater evil. A race of grayish, white toad-like creatures with no eyes and slippery skin concealed beneath a loose disguise of silken clothing. You notice the creatures tend to stay below deck, and none of them deign to interact with you at all. Despite their disguises, the mere sight of one makes you retch. If they are indeed the masters of the Corsairs, this cannot bode well for you. You are kept apart from Virgil, and suspect he is on a different ship entirely. More days pass. You have no way of telling how long it's been since your capture. You have been kept well fed. That is, if being forced to eat bitter porridge from a dirty clay bowl counts as well fed. What concerns you most is the ship itself. Though you are sure it's still moving, you no longer feel it rock back and forth as the waves push it from side to side, nor do you hear the sounds of the ocean or of gulls cawing over the coast. In fact, you hear very little at all now, only the occasional commands of one of the beasts from below deck, and the shouting of Corsairs in reply. No churning sea, no wind in the sails, nothing at all. Panic seizes your mind. What if you are destined for some strange port from which there can be no return? Could they have sailed off the face of the planet itself? You have to do something. Escape, somehow. You try desperately to come up with a plan of action, but in vain. Corsairs relentlessly patrol the brig, and even if you manage to slip your bonds and sneak past them, where would you go? Just as you begin to lose hope, a familiar face descends from the top deck. It is the ship captain you hired in Dilath Lane, a chubby, middle-aged fellow with a bushy beard and long hair pulled into a bun atop his head. He peeks around, realizes he is alone with you, and runs to your side. "I am so sorry, my friends," he stammers quietly. "I had no idea who I was dealing with. I was tricked, I swear. I did not know I did not know." He trails off, red-faced with guilt. You aren't entirely sure what he means, but obviously he had something to do with your capture. Regardless, he's your only chance at escape. You tell him all will be forgiven if he helps you. He ponders for a moment, looks around, then finally nods and slices through your bonds with a curved knife. Freedom has never tasted so sweet. You stretch your aching muscles and search nearby for your belongings, but there is little time to waste. Keeping a lookout, your rescuer whispers, "There may be a rowboat you can use on the top deck, but we'll have to be as quiet as mice. If they spot..." His voice suddenly catches in his throat, along with a sharp, jagged blade. He makes a dreadful gurgle as blood wells in his mouth, and he collapses. Behind him, a Corsair flashes a sadistic grin at his next victims. You. Check the campaign log. If at least one investigator was not captured, proceed to Intro 2. Otherwise, skip to setup.
We'll pause enough to remind ourselves that Luke was not captured, so that'll bring us to Intro 2.
Intro 2. You have little choice if you are to save the Corsairs' captives. You must sail to the moon and rescue them yourself, or they will surely become slaves of the beasts who call it home. They are evil creatures who serve an even greater evil, Randolph explains as you prepare to set sail. There are port cities like Dilath Lane that have dealt with them before, but few know their true identity, for they wear disguises to mask their hideous nature. Perhaps your captain, who shuttled you to and from the various regions of the Dreamlands, dealt with them in the past. Or perhaps not. For the sake of your own sanity, it may be better not to dwell on suspicions of betrayal. How does one even sail to the moon, you ask, befuddled? By now you are no stranger to the oddities of the Dreamlands, having spent weeks exploring its cities, wilds, and places stranger still. Even knowing the laws of physics and astronomy should not apply here, you struggle to imagine how one might sail a ship into space. It will be a long journey, Randolph answers. Far across the sea lie the basalt pillars of the West. Between these pillars, the ocean plunges off the edge of the world. If we sail off of the precipice between them, we can cross the void of space itself. You shouldn't be surprised that the world of Earth's Dreamlands is flat. After all, everything else here is fiction too. Still, you are incredulous. I have sailed this route before, Randolph says, sensing your skepticism. But I fear this time it might be a one-way trip, especially without a crew. We may need to find an altogether different way to unknown Kadath. Are you prepared? You look to the horizon, where the Cerulean Sea meets the sky. Somewhere out there, your aid is needed. What's more, the proof you seek may lie across the sea, over the edge of the very world itself. You prepare to disembark.
Well, that would actually be embarking, not disembarking, although Jenny might hopefully be finding a way to disembark. Anyway, with that setup, let's remind everyone what the tarot reading was. So on the good side, we left the Sun 19. During each investigator's first turn, they may take 2 additional actions. On the bad side, we flipped the Hangman 12. Each investigator can't mulligan or replace weaknesses in their opening hand, and get resolved when the game begins. Fortunately, when I was doing setup late last night after my game with Black Orchestra with Jester ran long, we didn't have weaknesses in either investigator's hand. Speaking of which, let's look at opening hands. In a change of pace, Luke will be our lead investigator this time around. He'll start off with 2 copies of Voice of Ra. Gain a resource and reveal 3 random tokens from the bag. For each bad symbol revealed, gain additional 2, and it's a will on commit. Next up, we've got Eureka. Will, lore, agility on commit. If the skill test is successful, the investigator performing the test searches the top 3 cards of their deck for a card, draws it, and shuffles the deck. Then we can read a few signs with will and lore on commit. Investigate plus will for the investigation. You may ignore any effect or keyword on your location which would trigger during this investigation, and if you succeed, gain 1 additional clue. And Spectral Razor. 2 cost to play, will, combat on commit. Fight plus will for the attack. Immediately before the attack, you may engage the attacked enemy. The attack deals +1 damage, +2 instead if the enemy is non-elite. As for Jenny's opening hand, I believe she had a double to start as well. She does. She's got doubles of intel report. 2 cost to play, 2 lore on commit. Discover 1 clue at your location. Increase its cost by 2 to change discover 1 clue to 2, and at your location to up to 2 locations away. Then we've got You Owe Me One. Look at another investigator's hand. You may play a non-weakness card in that investigator's hand under your control. If you do, you and that investigator each draw 1 card. Yeah. Sure. That's what you said the last 3 times. Lore, combat, agility on commit. We may be using that right away. You handle this one. 0 cost to play, lore, agility on commit. Fast. Play after you draw a non-peril encounter card, but before resolving that card's effects. Choose another investigator. That investigator is considered to have drawn that encounter card instead. Gain a resource. And we've got Jenny's Twin 45s, a perfect fit. X cost to play, 2 agility, wildcard on commit. Jenny Barnes' deck uses X ammo. Action, spend an ammo to fight. You get +2 combat for this attack and deal +1 damage. Very happy to see that in Jenny's opening hand right off the bat. So, next let's look at our starting act and agenda decks. First, the agenda. Agenda 1A, Silent Stirring. The silence of this place is deafening. There is no wind whistling through the air, no chirping of birds, no idle sound of any kind. This is a dead world. Though you know danger lurks around every corner, You hear no sign of the beasts or the corsairs who call this place home. You must remain even quieter in order to stay hidden. 5 doom to advance that. And our starting act. In the belly of the moon beast, Virgil Grey is held captive somewhere in the vast, strange city of the moon beasts. You must be quiet and cunning if you are to find him and escape unnoticed. Objective: only investigators at the city of the moon beasts may spend the requisite number of clues as a group to advance, and we need 6. Fun times wait for us all around. So with that, last up, our investigators will move over to the map, so let's join them there. Since Luke wasn't captured, he gets to start down in the Moon Forest, so we'll take a look at this. Actually, that should have... Right, for each investigator who begins there, place 2 additional clues on it. Okay. Now that we've got that sorted out, let's take a look at Luke's starting location, the Moon Forest. Surface woods. As the coast drew nearer, and the hideous stench of that city grew stronger, he saw upon the jagged hills many forests, some of whose trees he recognized as akin to that solitary moon tree in the enchanted wood of earth, from whose sap the small brown zoogs ferment their peculiar wine. H.P. Lovecraft, The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath. Flips into Shroud of 4, 2 clues. As an action, test agility 5 to hide among the strange trees. If you succeed, reduce your alarm level by 1. Limit 1 success per game. During your turn, fast action during your turn, except during another action, evade. If you fail, raise your alarm level by 1. Limit once per round, victory 1. So we'll get the 2 clues out for that. And then Jenny starts up on the Moonbeast Galley. Shroud of 3, 1, but 3 clues because Jenny starts up there. 1 plus 2 per investigator up there. Investigators can't enter or leave Moonbeast Galley via player card effects. Fast action, if there are no clues remaining on Moonbeast Galley, flip it over. Forced, at the end of the round, if there are 3 or more doom in play, flip Moonbeast Galley over. So basically, Jenny's stuck up there until she can get the clues off of there. So, yeah. That's going to be a bit of a problem for us, but hopefully nothing we can't deal with. So going into the investigation phase now, into our first investigation phase, I think we're going to drop down to Jenny, and we're going to start in her play area. If you watch any of my sports videos, you'll probably recognize these dials. That's what I'm going to be using to represent each investigator's alarm level in this scenario, rather than piling up doom tokens on the investigators and not having enough for the agenda. I think the dials are going to make everything a lot easier on that front. So for action 1, Jenny is going to investigate. She's even, and I think that's where she's going to test. So at even, I have to remember we have 5 actions, so we don't even get to that. Actually, we'll do this. We'll give her we'll give her 2 of her extra tokens. Luke will have to remember to just not flip over the first one. So action 1, Jenny's going to investigate at even. Rune is nothing good. Rune is -1. If you fail, raise your alarm level by 1. Unfortunately, we are going to fail, which is going to increase Jenny's alarm level to 2. Action 2 will run that back. I'm hoping to get one successful investigation here, because then I can use an intel report at a 4 cost to get the other 2 clues off of there. So still even. Rune again. So her alarm level is already 3. She's not being very quiet. Are you, Jenny? Let's try it again. A -1 means we fail again. So I think for action 4, we're going to take a resource, and then we're going to play an intel report at... We're going to play an intel report at a 4 cost to discover 2 clues. Jenny, we need to talk about your investigative skills and your stealth abilities, because clearly you're not doing a very good job at it. Anyway, that's it for Jenny. Now let's go over to Luke. Action 1, Luke is going to spend 2 resources to read some signs. So he's going to be adding his will to his skill value for the investigation. A grisly future is laid before you. Do you turn away or do you embrace it? Luke is at a 7 to a 4. He's up 3, trying to get both clues. That's a +1, so we'll get both clues off of the Moon Forest. Action 2 will take us over. That's gone, by the way. Action 2 will take us over to the map. Action 2, Luke's going to move over to the Dark Crater, and we'll see what's here. The ship made for the edge, and it soon became clear that its destination was that secret and mysterious side which is always turned away from the earth, and which no fully human person, save for the dreamer Snereth Ko, has ever beheld. H.P. Lovecraft, The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath. Flips into Shroud of 2, 2 clues. Action, test Lore 5 to hide within the crater. If you succeed, reduce your alarm level by 1. Limit 1 success per game. Force. At the end of your turn, if you are at the Dark Crater and have discovered 1 or more of its clues this turn, test Will 3. If you fail, raise your alarm level by 1 for victory 1. That was action 2. We'll get the 2 clues out for that. Action 3, Luke will investigate, and I'll commit Eureka. I'll commit Eureka to put him up 2. Tentacle touched. It's going to be one of those days, guys, isn't it? Action 4. Okay, those don't connect. But I think he's going to investigate anyway, up 1. A 0 gets him a clue. At the end of his turn, though, he is going to have to test Will 3. Right now, he's up 1. Rune, as we saw, is -1, but he does. But unlike Jenny, who pulled the rune twice on her investigations, Luke doesn't fail. So that will do it for Luke. That'll do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, first turn of the game, so there's no enemies in play, which means we'll reset everything here. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Jenny will gain 2 resources and go to 4. Luke will gain 1 and end up at the same place. Actually, Luke should have gained his resource first, but they're technically gaining them at the same time. Luke will draw. Sword Cane, 2 cost to play, combat on commit. Playing Sword Cane does not provoke attacks of opportunity. Reaction after Sword Cane enters play, immediately triggers action ability without paying its cost. As an action, exhaust Sword Cane, fight or evade. You may use your will in place of your combat or agility for this attack or evasion, and it takes up a hand slot. Jenny will draw. Arcane Studies, 2 cost to play, will and lore on commit. Resource dumps for tests of the same skills. Mythos phase, First doom on the agenda of 5, Luke will draw. Dreamer's Curse. Revelation test will 5. For each point you fail by, take 1 damage to a maximum of 3. For the purposes of counting icons committed to this skill test, lore, combat, and agility icons count as matching, and will and wildcard icons count as 2. This would have been a great time for Eureka, but let's see. Luke is going to commit one of his voices of Ra to go up 1. I want to be able to use his other voice of Ra to get him some resources. So up 1. -1 means we're clear of that one, so Luke passes. Jenny will draw. Cats from Saturn, oh boy. Hunter swarming X, 2s across the board. X is your alarm level, or the highest alarm level among investigators if there is no active investigator, which right now is 3 because of Jenny. Forced, after the host Cats from Saturn moves or is evaded, discard one of its swarm tokens. Oh, delightful. So now Jenny has to pull 3 cards from her deck. Great. This is going well. Okay, so that brings us into the investigation phase, and now Jenny's got to try to get away from these Cats of Saturn. So let's see about doing that in her play area. Action 1, Jenny's going to try to punch the Cats of Saturn. She's up 1. See if we can try to take some of this damage out. That's a -2, so we're off to a rockin' good start. Action 2, try it again. -1 takes out one of the swarm cats. And then for action 3, Jenny will try to evade. Also up 1. Cultist. Reveal another token. If you fail and your alarm level is higher than your modified skill value, after the skill test ends, draw the top card of the encounter deck. That could potentially be very bad. -1, we are able to evade it, thankfully, which doesn't fail the test. We would have been... Okay, so that goes to the bottom of Jenny's deck. Cats from Saturn are exhausted. I'm going to exhaust it here because it is coming right back to Jenny during when the upkeep phase starts. So that will do it for Jenny. Now let's move over to Luke. And actually, his turn's going to take us over to the map. Action 1, Luke is going to investigate to try to get the last clue off of the dark crater. Once again, he's up 1. Rune, as we saw earlier, is -1. If you fail, raise your alarm level by 1. Except Luke doesn't fail the test there, so he gets the last clue. Action 2, he's going to move over to the City of the Moon Beasts. There presently rose ahead of the jagged hills of a leprous-looking coast, and Carter saw the thick, unpleasant gray towers of a city. The way they leaned and bent, the manner in which they were clustered, and the fact that they had no windows at all was very disturbing for the prisoner. H.P. Lovecraft, The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath. Flips into Shroud of X, 2 clues. X is the highest alarm level among all investigators. Forced. At the end of the round, each investigator at the City of the Moon Beasts tests Agility 2. Each investigator who fails must raise their alarm level by 1. Right now it's a Shroud of 3 because Jenny's alarm level is 3. Let's see, that was action 2 to move over to the City of the Moon Beasts. Action 3, Luke's going to move up to the Temple of the Moon Lizard. The dead temples on the mountains were so placed that they could have glorified no wholesome or suitable gods, and in the symmetries of the broken columns there seemed to lurk some dark and inner meaning which did not invite solution. H.P. Lovecraft, The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath. Flips into Shroud of 3, 2 clues. Action, test Will 5 to hide inside the Forbidden Temple. If you succeed, reduce your alarm level by 1, limit once per game. Forced. After you discover any number of clues at the Temple of the Moon Lizard, you must either take that much horror or discard that many cards from your hand. Victory 1. We'll get the 2 clues out for that. That'll do it for Luke. That'll do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, Jenny exhausted the cats of Saturn, which is a good thing for her because she was going to get rocked if she didn't do something about those cats. So now we'll wake everything up. Resetting actions. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Luke gains 1 resource and goes to 5. Jenny gains 2 and goes to 6. Luke draws Clairvoyance, 4 cost to play. Lore on commit. Uses 3 charges. Action, spend a charge to investigate using will instead of lore. If you succeed, discover 1 additional clue at the location. If you pull a good symbol, take 1 horror. Jenny draws Beretta M1918, 4 cost to play, 2 combat, agility on commit. Uses 4 ammo. As an action, exhaust the Beretta and spend an ammo to fight. You get plus 4 combat and deal plus 1 damage for the attack. And if you succeed by 2 or more, you either ready the Beretta or this attack deals plus 1 damage. If you succeed by 4 or more, do both instead. So a potential weapon if we can get that into play. Mythos phase, though, we put our second Doom on the agenda. Luke will draw Moonbound Bayaki, 3s across the board. Spawn nearest surface location. Prey highest alarm level, 3 or more only. Alert Hunter. While moving or engaging, Moonbound Bayaki ignores investigators with an alarm level of 2 or less. Does 3 damage and a sanity on attack. So we probably... I think this actually does... I think it engages Luke for now, since it's out. But once we move away from it, once we get away from it, it'll ignore Luke. So it'll probably be aloof. It'll be aloof to alarm level of 2 or less. Jenny will draw. And that is the nearest surface location. Yep, so Jenny will draw. Good old Ancient Evils. Revelation, place 1 Doom on the current agenda. This effect can cause the current agenda to advance. Dark forces stir against you. If you don't act quickly, a sinister plot will be fulfilled. Great. Gotta love seeing our old favorite Ancient Evils. Wunderbar. Alright, so that'll bring us back into the investigation phase. Jenny, we still need to deal with these cats from Saturn, so let's drop down to your play area and see what we can do about that. Action 1, let's see if we can evade these cats. Jenny is up 1. Elder Sign. This is welcome. Jenny's Elder Sign is +1 for each resource you have. Jenny has 6 resources right now, so that's a +6, which means she evades the cats from Saturn, and we discard the Swarm card. For action 2, she's going to play out the Beretta she just drew for 4 resources. So we're going to put that into play, especially since I just saw the Moonbound Bayaki that Luke just drew. So we'll get the 4 ammo for that. There's the 4 ammo going on the Beretta. And then for action 3, Jenny's going to investigate. She's only going to get one more chance to get that flipped over herself, because at the end of the round, we have 3 Doom in play, which means that is going to flip on Doom. So Jenny's at even. Is there anything with lore that she wants to commit? Yeah, I think we're going to have to give her Arcane Studies and put her up 1. Actually, I'm probably going to need Arcane Studies. Do I have another 1 lore card I can give her? We'll use you handle this one instead. It's going to end up with us at the same place. And a 0 means we didn't technically need it, but we will get the last clue off the location. And now Jenny can flip over the Moonbeast Galley. So let's see what's up here. If there were no clues on this card when it was flipped, read the following. Moving as stealthily as you can, you find a dinghy tied to the side of the ship. 2 oars left inside. If this galley can move through space using oars, surely this lifeboat can too. Making sure to stay as quiet as possible, you hop inside the small boat and make your escape. Move each investigator here to the Moon Forest. Remove this card from the game, discarding all enemies here. Which means the cats from Saturn gets discarded. And Jenny moves to the Moon Forest, which is going to leave us with a big problem on our hands. Well, actually, it's probably not going to leave us with a big problem on our hands, because the Moonbound Bayaki is going to be moving and coming to find Jenny anyway, which I was kind of planning on that anyway, so that works out-ish. Anyway, that will do it for Jenny. Luke's turn will take us over to the map. Before we start Luke's turn, we do have a fast action window, which we're going to have him use the gate box to move out to Dreamgate Wondrous Journey. So let's take our first look at Dreamgate Wondrous Journey. Shroud of 1, no clues. Bonded with gate box. Dreamgate is connected to each other revealed location and vice versa. Enemies and investigators other than Luke can't enter Dreamgate. Forced. At the end of the investigation phase, set Dreamgate out of side out of play. If Luke is here, move him to any revealed location. So we're going to put him up here, and then he's going to move there, which will break engagement with the Moonbound Bayaki, but I kind of wanted that because I want that to go after Jenny, so I can hopefully use the Beretta to take it out. Unfortunately, Jenny is going to take a hit during the enemy phase, but there's really nothing I can do about that at this point. So, for Action 1, Luke is going to move down to the City of the Moon Beasts. Action 2, he's going to play out his Clairvoyance, which, as we saw earlier, lets him investigate using will instead of lore. I'm only going to grab 2 charges for that, because he's immediately going to use one of the charges on there for Action 3 to investigate. He's up 1. Do I have any will that I want to give him for this? Unfortunately, I don't. Actually, that was a really dumb idea, because I could have had Luke try to take out the Spectral Razor right there. We'll go with it. And we'll go with it, hope this works. Besides, it might be better to have Jenny try to take it out, since she's got the Beretta available to her now. Luke is up 1. Skull is minus X, where X is half your alarm level rounded up. So that's a -1, which fortunately is what Luke was up by. So he gets both clues on there, and he doesn't take any horror. Okay. So that'll do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the Moonbound Bayaki goes going after Jenny since our alarm level's 3. And Jenny will take 3 damage and a sanity from that attack. Ouch. Jenny's got to be able to take out that Moonbound Bayaki on her next turn. Anyway, we'll reset everything here. Dreamgate goes out of play. Actually, I'm going to put that down here for the time being. Reset actions. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Luke will gain 1 resource and go to 2. Jenny will gain 2 and go to 4. Oh, I have not been paying attention at all to Luke's forced learning. I'm not going to rewind the scenario, though. Anyway, Luke draws 2 cards and discards 1. So Luke will draw. First up, Hawkeye Folding Camera, 2 cost to play, will on commit. After the last clue is discovered from your location, place 1 resource on the token pool. From the token pool on this card is evidence. Limit once per game at each location. While it has 1 or more evidence, it gets +1 will, 2 or more evidence +1 lore, 3 or more evidence +1 sanity, and Robes of Endless Night, 3 cost to play, will on commit. When you play a spell card, exhaust Robes of Endless Night, reduce that cost of that card by 1, 2 sanity on soak. I think we're going to keep the Robes of Yeah, we're going to keep the Robes of Endless Night. Jenny will draw. Vicious Blow. Okay, this could be useful. Combat on commit. If the skill test is successful during an attack, that attack deals +1 damage. End of the round, Luke's got a test on agility since he's still at the City of the Moon Beasts. He's up 1, and I don't think he has any agility in his hand. He does have the aforementioned Robes of Endless Night, but he's going to keep those. So, up 1. And -2 raises Luke's alarm level by 1. So now Luke's alarm level is up to 2. Delightful. Mythos phase, 4th Doom on the agenda. Luke draws. Well, that didn't take long. Another Ancient Evils, and that can cause the agenda to advance, which it will because that is our 5th Doom on agenda 1A. Throw away the key. A single screech pierces the silence, and you instinctively duck for cover. You have seen these creatures before. Horrid, eyeless monstrosities that fly alongside the Corsair's black galleys. Terrible things of bone and leathery membranous skin. A flock circles and screeches overhead. Have you been spotted? It doesn't matter. You can't stay here any longer. Shuffle the encounter discard pile into the deck and raise each investigator's alarm level by 1. Great. So now it's no longer... So now the Moonbound Bayaki would no longer be ignoring Luke, whose alarm level is now up to 3. Jenny's is still up to 4. Oh, great. We're shuffling 2 Ancient Evils and the Cats of Saturn back into Jenny's deck. All right, we'll take a look at our new agenda. Agenda 2A, the alarm is raised. Your pace quickens as the creature's pursuit grows more frenzied with each passing minute. The silence you once cursed is broken. The awful piercing screeches that punctuate the night are even worse. 5 doomed to advance. Jenny draws. Lunar Patrol. Revelation attached to your location. Action, test agility 3 to lose the patrol. If you succeed, discard Lunar Patrol. Forced. When an investigator leaves attached location, raise that investigator's alarm level by 1. Delightful. Well, things aren't going well. For the investigation phase, we've got a moonbound Bayaki out that desperately needs to be dealt with. Oh, Jennifer, can we come down to your play area? We can? Great, we'll see you there. Action 1, Jenny's going to take a shot with the Beretta. So we're going to spend an ammo and exhaust it. We're obviously going to take a shot at the moonbound Bayaki. So we're up 4. We're probably going to want the... If we succeed by 2 or more, we get to do 3 damage on the attack. So we're not going to use a vicious blow on this. We're already, like I said, we're already up 4 before we go into the bag. So let's see what we can do with this Bayaki. -2. So we are succeeding by 2, which means we're already doing base 2 damage on the attack. Since we're succeeding by 2 or more, we're going to have it do 3 damage and take out the Bayaki. We needed that one, Jenny. Action 2 will take us over to the map. Unfortunately, I don't really have the luxury of caring that that Lunar Patrol is now at the Moon Forest. So Action 2, Jenny is going to leave the Moon Forest, but that is going to raise her alarm level by 1. So that'll bring her up to an alarm level of 5. Then Action 3, she's going to move into the City of the Moon Beast, and we are going to spend the 6 clues there. We'll dump all 3 of Jenny's clues, and Luke will keep 3 of his, so we can advance the axe. Okay. Oop. Timely rescue. After hours of weaving around leprous stone towers and searching high and low, you finally spot a group of shackled captives being led single file from the docks to who knows where. Luckily, they are guarded by only 2 of the foul corsairs. You create a distraction loud enough to separate the pair, then sneak by in order to free the captives. Choose an investigator at City of the Moon Beast to take control of the set-aside Virgil Gray, truly inspired story asset. Check the campaign log, we won't worry about that. Alright, so Virgil Gray. Let's take a look at him. Virgil Gray, truly inspired. After your alarm level is raised, either draw 1 card, gain a resource, or heal 1 horror from Virgil. If there's more than 1 investigator in the game, give control of Virgil Gray to another investigator. Forced, if Virgil is defeated, remove him from the game. 1 health, 3 sanity. I'm going to give him to Jenny. Mostly since she's been the one playing around with her alarm level the most in this game. Then we'll take a look at our new act. Act 2A, Exploring the Moon. Now that you're reunited, it's time to get off this rock. Randolph informs you that the light side of the moon should be safe from the reach of the moon beasts, who dwell only on this side. However, it is much too far for you to walk on foot. You'll have to find another way to escape. Only investigators at the Temple of the Moon Lizard may spend the requisite number of clues as a group to advance, and we need 2. Which, fortunately, Luke has since we held on to his 2 clues. That'll do it for Jenny at any rate. Luke will move up to the aforementioned Temple of the Moon Lizard for action 1. Action 2, I think he's going to use Voice of Ra so we can try to get some resources out of this. So we'll gain a resource, and then we'll reveal 3 tokens from the bag and gain 2 per bad symbol that we reveal. One, two, 3. Here we find 1 bad symbol, the tentacle. So we gain 2 more resources from that. That was action 2. Action 3, Luke is going to investigate with a charge of clairvoyance. He's up 1. That's where we're going to have to test, unfortunately. Put it in with the right group of tokens. -1 gets him both clues. But we'll also have to take 2 horror, which we can do. So Luke will take 2 horror from that. That'll do it for Luke. That'll do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase. No. Jenny took care of our only enemy in play, so we can reset everything. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Luke gains 1 resource and goes to 6. Jenny gains 2 and ends up at the same place. Luke, for forced learning, will have 2 cards to look at. First up, Azure Flame, 3 cost to play, combat on commit. It's basically clairvoyance, but for combat. Using will instead of combat and deal +1 damage. Or deduction level 2. Ooh, this is a tough choice, but I think here 2 lore on commit, and if you're successful while investigating a location, discover 1 additional clue there, 2 instead if you succeed by 2 or more. This is a tough choice, but I think we take deduction. We'll discard the Azure Flame, and Jenny will draw. Stunning Blow. Combat on commit. If you're successful during an attack, automatically evade the attacked enemy. Mythos phase, we put our first doom on the new agenda. Luke will draw. Cats from Saturn. Oh, fun. Swarming. We saw this earlier, and right now it's swarming 5? Gross, gross, gross. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Joy, joy. Actually, X is 3. So, yeah. Actually, no. Yeah, X is your alarm level or the highest alarm level among investigators if there's no active investigator. There's probably technically no active investigator, but I'm ruling that because Luke's drawing it out of the deck, it uses his alarm level. Could have been worse. It could have been Jenny's alarm level that we were using. Jenny will draw. Hunted by Corsairs. Revelation, attach it to the current act. When the act advances, each investigator takes 2 damage. The attached act gains action test lore 4 to outwit the Corsairs or agility 4 to sneak past them. If you succeed, discard Hunted by Corsairs. Oh, great. So now we need to get rid of that. We probably want to get... do we want to get Jenny up to the Temple of the Moon Lizard, or... I don't think we have to. It just says, only investigators there may spend the requisite number of clues to advance. Actually, we'd be ready to advance that right now. Which I was going to do that before that card came up. But I think I am anyway. We need to keep this scenario moving. We don't have time. We don't have time to care about taking the 2 damage from that, and Luke can just gatebox away from the Cats of Saturn, so we're going to go with that plan. So yes, both investigators are taking 2 damage, but like I said, no, I don't think I completely have time to care. Alright, so that's gone, and we are advancing the act. So now we find... While the majority of this temple is dedicated to an idol, the moon-dwelling creature is referred to as the moon lizard. You also find several references to some kind of lake of primordial black ooze not far beneath the surface that binds together the core of the moon. These texts imply that the whole of the moon's surface is connected by this core across multiple dimensions. Perhaps we can use it to cross over to the moon's other side, or to the afterlife, Virgil adds. Yes. One or the other, Randolph replies nonchalantly. It is still our only option. Put the set aside caverns beneath the moon, dark side, and the black core locations into play. Spawn the set aside moon lizard at the black core exhausted. Shuffle the discard pile into the deck. Oh, delightful. Alright, so set aside... Let me grab that for a second. Alright. Caverns beneath the moon, which connects to these 2 locations. Yes. Actually, yep. Just those 2 locations. We need 3 arrows. Right, yes. Actually, yeah. Okay, now that I've got that figured out, and then we need the moon lizard, which goes at the black core. Exhausted. Okay, dark side, yep. Alright, so now that we've got that all set up, we'll take a look at Act 3A. Does not want to focus today. There we go. The moon's core. You suspend your disbelief and descend beneath the moon's crust. In order to reach the other side of the moon, you must make your way through its black core, a transdimensional fluid from which nightmares are born. Cities or clues can't be discovered from the black core except as a result of a successful investigation. Objective: each surviving investigator is at the black core and it has no clues on it. Advance. Fun times. Alright, before we head into the investigation phase, we're going to move over to the map to check out how it's changed. And I need a new battery, so I'll meet you guys over there with that taken care of. Here are our new locations. We have Caverns Beneath the Moon Dark Side and the Black Core here. Taking a look at the Moon Lizard who just joined the party. X, 4 per investigator, so 8X. Monster Elite. Hunter, Moon Lizard can only enter cave locations. While Moon Lizard is engaged with an investigator, X is that investigator's alarm level. Otherwise, X is 5. Victory 2, 2 health, 2 sanity on attack. So fortunately, he's exhausted right now. And as a fast action before we leave the Mythos phase, Luke's going to spend a charge from his gate box as a fast action to nope out to Dreamgate Wondrous Journey, which will break engagement with the cats from Saturn, because Luke cannot take 4 damage right now from that, especially without a means of defending himself. So that'll get us out of the Mythos phase finally. Investigation phase next, and... Our predicament is not that good at the moment. Well, actually I think Jenny can probably start us off, and we'll keep her right here at the map. For action 1, Jenny's going to move to the Dark Crater. Action 2, I'm going to move her down to the Caverns Beneath the Moon on the dark side. While in a black cave on a far unhallowed summit of the Moon Mountains, still vainly waited the crawling chaos Nyarlathotep. H.P. Lovecraft, The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath. Flips into Shroud of 6, 2 clues. Forced, after you fail a skill test while investigating caverns beneath the moon, until the end of your turn, reduce its shroud by 2. Oh, fantastic. So we get the 2 clues there. Investigating it, well, actually, Jenny could just pull the clues off of there, because it doesn't say anything about from the caverns beneath the moon. So I think she is, for action 3, she's going to spend 4 resources to play her other intel report. Since we're playing at a cost of 4, we get to discover 2 clues. So we'll take both clues off of the caverns beneath the moon. Which means now we could potentially step in and start dealing with that moon lizard and see what's going on with the clues there. That will do it for Jenny. Luke is now over at the Dreamgate Wondrous Journey, and now that the caverns beneath the moon is revealed, action 1, he's going to move down to the caverns of the moon, since Dreamgate Wondrous Journey is connected to all of the revealed locations. Action 2... I think action 2, we're going to stop being an idiot with Luke, and actually remember that his special ability is really good. So we're going to spend 2 resources and play a Spectral Razor from a location away. So we're going to target the Moon Lizard with that, plus Will for the attack. Which means we're at a 6 to a 5 on combat. Luke's going to commit Sword Cane to get up to a 7. And Jenny is going to... Actually, Jenny's going to commit a Vicious Blow to the attack. So this could do 3 damage, potentially. Jenny is up... So actually, this is Luke, who's at 6, 7, 8. To 5, Luke's up 3. Luke's up 3, trying to do 3 damage. That's a +1, so we just did 3 damage to the Moon Lizard and almost cut its health in half. Alright, so that worked very nicely. And then action 3, Luke's going to draw a card. So Luke will draw. Detached from reality, oh delightful. Revelation, if Dreamgate Wondrous Journey is already in play, flip it over. Otherwise, well, it is. So we won't worry about that. And then in either case, disengage from each enemy and move back to Dreamgate. So let's take a look at Pointless Reality. Shroud of 6, no clues. Bonded, detached from reality. Enemies and investigators other than Luke can't enter Dreamgate. Reaction after you successfully investigate Dreamgate, flip it. Forced, at the end of the investigation phase, set Dreamgate aside out of play. If Luke is here, move him to any revealed location and he takes 2 horror. So that's at the end of the investigation phase. He is there. So we're going to move him right back to the caverns beneath the moon on the dark side, and he's going to take 2 horror from that. That'll do it for Luke. That'll do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the Cats from Saturn is coming after... We can send it after either investigator, so we're going to send it... What's the shortest path? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So we can send it either way. We're going to send it to the temple of the city of the Moon Beasts. And then the Moon Lizard is exhausted for now. But we're getting ready for the upkeep phase, so he'll wake up. And we'll reset actions. And now we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Luke will gain 1 resource and go to 5. Jenny will gain 2 and go to 4. Forced learning 2 cards for Luke, he will find. Open Gate, Myriad Fast, play only during your turn. attached to your location, group limit 3 in play. Investigators may move between any two locations with an attached open gate as if they were connected. Or, I've got a plan. 3 costs to play, combat, lore on commit. Fight using lore. You deal +1 damage for this attack for each clue you have, max of +3 damage. We're going to keep I've got a plan because we need to deal with that moon lizard like now. Jenny will draw. Investments. 1 cost to play, lore on commit. Uses 0 supplies, limit 10 supplies on investments. As an action, exhaust investments to place a supply on it. Action, exhaust and discard investments to move all supplies from it to your resource pool as resources. Mythos phase, second doom on the agenda. Luke will draw. Close watch. Revelation, test agility 4. If you fail, you must either discard the asset you control with the highest printed cost or raise your alarm level by 1. Your heart pounds in your chest. You hold your breath, keep perfectly still, and pray they cannot see you. Unfortunately, Luke is down 1. We'll see if either Luke or Jenny has any agility in their hand they can commit. Luke can use Robes of Endless Night to get to even. Jenny's actually going to give him the twin 45s now that we've got the Beretta out. Actually, is that a good idea? We've got the... Yeah, we'll use the twin 45. So that brings Luke... For 7, that brings Luke up 3. Cultist, as we saw earlier, is reveal another token if you fail and your modified skill value is lower than your alarm level. After the test ends, draw the top card of the encounter deck. Short of a tentacle, that won't be a problem. Somebody just had to say something, didn't he? Brilliance. Luke will draw. Ancient Evils, of course. Well, I don't know what would have been worse, another enemy there or that coming out. Jenny draws. Dreamer's Curse. Revelation tested Will 5. For each point you fail by, take 1 damage to a maximum of 3. For purposes of counting icons committed to this test, lore, combat, and agility count as matching. Will and wildcard count as 2 matching icons. Okay, this is bad because if Jenny fails by 3, she'll be defeated by a mental trauma. And she's going into this down 2. I think we commit... I think here we've got to commit Arcane Studies to give her 3 to bring her up 1. And then we'll use You Owe Me 1 to bring her up 4. Rune, as we saw, is -1. That is nowhere near enough to make her fail that one. And I was trying not to will yet another tentacle out of the bag. Because again, that would have just failed. That would have defeated Jenny by sanity on the spot. So this is not going well at all. Into the investigation phase, and... Well, the Moon Lizard is engaged with an investigator. X is that investigator's alarm level. I think we're going to take a little bit of a gamble here. Yes, it's going to be a little bit of a calculated risk. And if I fail this, I could just end the scenario on the spot. But again, I'm probably in a spot where I don't completely have the luxury of time to care. So with that in mind, Luke's turn is going to take us... Actually, Luke could get out of it if he had to. Luke's turn is going to take us over to the map. This admittedly is a really risky plan, but if everything works to perfection here, I can take the Moon Lizard out on Jenny's turn, which I'm going to have to try to do this. So for action 1, Luke is going to move into the black core and make friends with the Moon Lizard. Now, you're going to probably think I'm crazy when I go to action 2, but it will make sense. So the black core, we'll take a look at this. The path to the moon's core is long and winding. You can't enter the black core while Caverns Beneath the Moon Dark Side has clues on it. A thick black sludge begins to impede your progress as you draw nearer and nearer to the moon's core. Flips into Shroud of X, 2 clues. X is the number of depth tokens on black core. Forced. After the black core is revealed, place 3 resources on it as depth tokens, plus an additional 3 per investigator depth tokens. Action. Test Will 2 or Combat 2 to swim through the dark lake at the moon's core. For each point you succeed by, remove 1 depth token from the black core. So we need the 2 clues, and I am not using resources on there. So let me see what I've got as something I could use instead. Perfect. Since I would rather not stack 5 million resources on there, instead, we're going to grab a handy-dandy little spin-down counter. Who knew my days of playing Magic would come in so much handy now? 9 resource tokens on there as Doom, or as Depth tokens. Action 2, we're going to spend 3 resources to play out I've Got a Plan. That's the worst plan I've ever heard. Well, what are we waiting for? And I can hear the comments section now saying, Phoenix Knight, why on earth wouldn't you play I've Got a Plan when you were at Caverns of the Moon on the Dark Side? Because if I played I've Got a Plan there, I'm looking at a combat value of 5 that I'm testing against. By moving in and engaging with the Moon Lizard, Luke's alarm level right now is 3. I'd rather test it even than down 2. Neither one gives me a good chance to succeed, but at least even I've got a chance for a pull. Where I've got a chance for a pull to not screw me, whereas I'd be hoping for a pull if I tried to do it from Caverns Beneath the Moon Dark Side. And now the risks are probably starting to become a little bit more clear. But we'll give this a shot. Rune, as we saw earlier, -1 if you fail, raise your alarm level by 1. So that plan very much blew up in my face. Which means, unfortunately, now he's a combat and an evade of 4. Action 3. He's just going to try to punch it because I don't want to take an attack of opportunity from this. Well, actually, no, I think I do have to try. I think I got to try to punch this because I need the Moon Lizard to stay engaged with Luke for when Jenny comes in. So yeah, we're just going to try to punch it because why not? We're down. Actually, there's no token in here that would let us pass, and I don't want to evade. I don't want to try to evade because if I succeed, that means Jenny's coming in facing a 5. Although that would take away friendly fire, which was the other big risk I had with this plan. Yeah, action 3, we're going to just punch it, I guess. So we're down 2. This is mostly so we don't take an attack of opportunity. Skull is minus X, where X is half your alarm level. So that failed. That was mostly to keep Luke from taking an attack of opportunity and keeping him engaged with the Moon Lizard. Jenny will move into the black core. Then for action 2, she is going to attack with a Beretta. I am risking friendly fire, but again, I don't have the time to care about that. What I will do, however, is I will commit Stunning Blow to the attack. So right now, Jenny's at a 7, 8 to a 4. Jenny's up 4. But if I miss, Luke is going to be defeated by by damage, so he'll take a physical trauma. So, up 4. -1 means... Okay, so -1 is going to mean that we'll do 3 damage on the attack. Need another 3. There we are. So we're going to use the 3 damage on... So we did 2... +1 is 3 since we succeeded by 2 or more. And because of Stunning Blow, the Moon Lizard is evaded. So we very much got away with 1 on that one. Let's see, and then action 3. I think action 3 we're going to make a test on the black core. So we're going to test... This is actually pretty terrible at this point. Yeah, we're just going to make a base test of a 3 to... Either way, Jenny would be up 1, so it doesn't really matter what we test. Plus, all we've got in our hand is lore, so that won't help anyway. So yeah, up 1 either way. Rune, as we saw, is -1. So we do pass, but we pass by 0, so we don't get to remove any depth tokens, which is very unfortunate for us. But that will do it for Jenny. That'll do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the cats from Saturn are still following us. They come down to the Dark Crater. Then we'll start resetting everything. We'll give the Moon Lizard... Who do we give the Moon Lizard to? Do we give it to Luke and hope friendly fire doesn't screw us again? That's a 4 versus a 5 if we give him to Jenny, but we also take away the risk of friendly fire. Jenny would be up 2 trying to attack it. Yeah, I think we give it to Jenny, and probably send Luke into the black core on his turn to try to help deal with that. So we'll reset everything, and then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Luke gains 1 resource and goes to 3. Jenny gains 2 and goes to 6. Forced Learning, Luke has 2 cards to look at. First up, Read the Signs level 2, which could be tempting. Investigate plus will for the investigation. You may ignore yada yada yada. If you succeed, discover 1 additional clue at the location. If a symbol is revealed, return Read the Signs to your hand at the end of your turn. Or Open Gate. This is a snap keep, Read the Signs. And then Jenny will draw. Watch this. Combat, or will, combat, agility, and commit. Commit only to a test you're performing. As an additional cost, spend up to 3 resources. If you succeed by 1 or more, gain twice that many resources. That could be very useful. Mythos phase, 4th Doom on the agenda. Luke will draw. Dreamer's Curse. Uh-oh. Oh, this is bad. Do I use Read the Signs? He's down 1 as it is. As much as I don't like it, I think I have to use read the signs here. Because right now he's down 1. If he fails this test, if he fails this test by 3, he's going to be defeated. Actually, he and Jenny are both in the same place when it comes to Dreamer's Curse. And Jenny can't use watch this on Luke's test. She's probably going to use it on her on her combat with the Moon Lizard. So I think we are going to have to use read the signs for 5 matching icons, which will bring him to a 9 to a 5. Luke is up 4. Rune won't fail him on that, so Luke's clear there. Unfortunately, we did have to use read the signs. Jenny will draw. Ah, yes, Ancient Evils, which causes the agenda to advance. Run, rabbit, run. Your escape route is cut off as a pack of little creatures surrounds you. At first glance, you believe them to be cats, but they are only vaguely cat-like in shape. What you mistook for fur is more akin to a series of patterns, like strange filigrees. You silently pray for aid. Shuffle the encountered discard pile into the deck. Raise each investigator's alarm level by 1. That's bad. Because now that means Jenny's looking at a 6 on the Moon Lizard. So we'll shuffle the discard pile into the deck. Okay, right. So this is Jenny's card now. Okay. We'll finish resolving this before we go through the new agenda. Check the campaign log. If the investigators force their way into the temple, read the following. We did not force our way into the temple. So, otherwise, read the following. And to your surprise, an army of cats lands in front of you, having leaped through this void of space itself. You recognize the cat at the head of the formation as the gray old cat with a scar you met months ago. Go, human, he yells. We will hold them off. Agenda 3A, they are upon you. The entirety of the moon's denizens are set against you now. Of course they are. Behind every corner, a group of corsairs lies in wait, or a pack of hunting cats lurks to herd you toward its vicious masters. The skies above swarm with winged beasts and black galleys. If you can't find a way back to Earth, you will surely be captured. Hint, the game will not end when this agenda advances, but the agents of Nyarlathotep will tighten their noose, foredoomed to advance that. Great, and we just shuffled at least 2 ancient evils back into the deck. Well, our problems just multiplied about tenfold. So, moving into the investigation phase, I think Jenny's first order of business needs to be trying to take out this moon beast, this moon lizard. So, let's see what she can do with that. Fortunately, the moon lizard doesn't have retaliate, but we've also got a swarm of cats from Saturn breathing down our necks. Action 1, I'm going to spend a charge. I left the exhaustion token on the Beretta during the upkeep phase, but I think that's fine here because we are going to be using the Beretta to try to attack the moon lizard and take it out. Unfortunately, we're only a 7 to a 6. We're up 1. Jenny's actually going to commit watch this to go up 2 and spend 3 resources into it. So up 2, and we get 6 resources back if we succeed by 1 or more. -1, which means we don't get the effect from the Beretta since we're only succeeding by 1, but we do get 6 resources back from watch this. More importantly, the Moon Lizard has been defeated. Thank the good gods above for that. So that will go into the victory display. The damage tokens will go back to the token pool, the big token pool as it were. And then that's gone. Action 2, she's going to make another test to try to reduce the depth on the black core. So either way it's a plus. Either way it's an up 1. That's a -1, so once again we pass by 0. Action 3, we'll run it back. Another -1. This is going totally swimmingly. That'll do it for Jenny. Luke's turn will take us over to his play area. For action 1, Luke is going to draw a card, so Luke will draw. Another clairvoyance, which we don't particularly want right now. What I'm worried about now is I've got those cats from Saturn breathing down our necks. They're a location away, so if I can get Luke's hands on a copy of Storm of Spirits, I can probably take them out next turn. Action 2, Luke will try it again. He will draw. Another Robes of Endless Night. Action 3. Let's do it again. Luke will draw. Drawn to the Flame. I wish we could use this on the black core, but we can only get the clues off there by investigating. So that's not great right now. That'll do it for Luke. That'll do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase. The cats from Saturn move down to the caverns beneath the moon. We'll reset everything here, and Jenny did take out the Moon Lizard. And now we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Luke gains 1 resource and goes to 4. Jenny gains 2 and goes to 11. Forced Learning from Luke gives him 2 cards. He will draw first up. Ethereal Slip. 2 cost to play, will, agility on commit. Choose a non-elite enemy at a revealed location up to 2 locations away. Swap places with that enemy. Now, well, we'll go through the flavor text if we play it, and Eureka. If the skill test is successful, I think we saw this earlier, we're going to keep Eureka, though. Jenny will draw. Hard Knocks. 2 cost to play, combat, agility on commit, and resource dumps for same. Mythos phase, first doom on the agenda, which is going to go falling. Down here. Luke will draw. Another Ancient Evils, as if we didn't have enough problems. Jenny will draw. Deeper Slumber. Revelation, put it into play in your threat area. Your max hand size is reduced by 3 and is checked after each time you draw 1 or more cards. 2 actions to discard it. Great. Well, I think with that in mind, I guess the question now is, what do we do with this? So, we're in a very bad situation right now. We've got those cats from Saturn breathing down our necks. Heading into the investigation phase, I think we need to go meet those cats from Saturn now. Well, we need to deal with them now. The only question is how. I think if Luke isn't able to find a Storm of Spirits on his turn, Jenny's going to have to go do her best gangster impression with the Beretta. So, let's start the investigation phase in Luke's play area. Action 1, Luke's going to draw a card. Luke will draw True Understanding, which is not great here either. Action 2, he'll draw another card. Luke will draw Shriveling. Don't tell me both of the Storm of Spirits are under that mess. Action 3, I think we might as well try to make some progress on the depth. So Luke is going to make a will test there. He's up 2. Actually, that is a will test possible, right? Yes. Actually, do we have any will Luke can put into this? You know what? Yeah, let's give him Eureka to give him a 5 to a 2, put him up 3. A 0 means we get 3 depth tokens off of the black core. And now we get to look at the top 3 cards of Luke's deck for a card. First up we have Fingerprint Kit. Second up, Drawn to the Flame again, and Spectral Razor. This could have been useful as well. But I think we're going to take the... I think we're going to take the Spectral Razor here. We're probably going to need more combat options. Especially with those cats from Saturn bearing down on us. Which hopefully Jenny can cut down on some of that on her turn. Speaking of which, that's it for Luke's turn. Let's see what Jenny can do as her investigation phase takes us over to the map. Action 1, Jenny's going to move into the caverns beneath the moon dark side, make friends with the cats from Saturn. Action 2, she's going to use the last charge of her Beretta, the last ammo on her Beretta, aiming at the cats from Saturn. She is at a 7 to a 2, she's up 5, and I think that's where she's going to test. Jenny, the bullets are supposed to go in the cats, not into your foot. Fortunately, she doesn't take damage from that, but she's now in a very bad predicament. So that was action 1 to move in, action 2 to take a shot. Action 3, she's going to evade, and she's going to commit hard knocks to go up 2. If this fails, Jenny is going to be defeated by damage. That's a +1, so we do evade the cats from Saturn, which is, well, something-ish. Alright, so that goes to the bottom of Luke's deck. That'll do it for Jenny, that'll do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, Jenny evaded the cats from Saturn when she needed to take more of them out. So that'll reset everything. And now we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Luke gains 1 resource and goes to 5. Jenny is going to gain 2, 9, 11, and go to 13. I've got a bag of money handy that I can use for that. 2 cards from Forced Learning for Luke. First up, he'll find I've got a plan, which we might be able to use that, or 4 of Cups. 3 cost to play, you get +1 will. When the game begins, if 4 of Cups is in your opening hand, put it into play. I think we're going to toss the 4 of Cups, because we can use I've got a plan to maybe give Jenny some help. Jenny will draw. Another Watch This, which could be handy, but not particularly right now. We saw that earlier when Jenny took out the Moon Lizard. Mythos phase, 3rd Doom on the agenda. Luke draws. Somnophobia. Revelation test will 5. For each point you fail by, take 1 horror to a max of 3. For the purposes of counting icons committed to this skill test, lore, combat, and agility are matching, and will and wildcard count as 2 matching. So right now he's down 1. We're going to use Drawn to the Flame, I think, to go up. So down 1. Let's see, that's 3 matching icons. That brings him to a 7. And I think that's probably fine. We can't use True Understanding to get clues off the location, because we can only get them off by a successful investigation. So, Luke right now is up 2. I do need to remember to check Jenny's hand size. I'll do that after I resolve this test. Rune is not enough to fail Luke, so that's a relief there. I'm pretty sure Jenny's fine looking at her hand. Yeah, 2 cards. She's fine. Jenny will draw. Moonbeast. Oh, wonderful. 5/5/1, Retaliate. Forced. After Moonbeast enters play, raise each investigator's alarm level by 1. Forced. After you defeat Moonbeast, reduce each investigator's alarm level by 1. Oh, great. This is a great situation for Jenny to be in right now. Moving into the investigation phase, and yeah, we're in all kinds of trouble right now. So I think we're going... Oh, so we have to raise each investigator's alarm level. So Luke's at a 6, Jenny's at a 7. We are in deep trouble, to put it mildly. So let's move over to Luke, and let's move over to his... do you want to bring him over to the map? Jenny needs help desperately, to put it mildly. So let's move over to the map for Luke's turn. Action 1, Luke's going to move over to the caverns beneath the moon. Action 2... so here's the question. Do I have time to care about having this Moonbeast on Jenny? Actually, if I play a Spectral Razor, I could take it off of her, which I think I'm going to do for Action 2. So Action 2, I am going to play the Spectral Razor. And since the Moonbeast surprisingly is non-elite, I can engage it off of Jenny, and I will. So I'll bring that over to Luke. So right now he's at a 6. I'll use True Understanding to get him up to a 7, which means he's up 2. Jenny can't give him any help with that, so up 2. A 0 means we do 3 damage to the Moonbeast because it's non-elite. Actually, I couldn't commit True Understanding anyway because I can only commit it to a skill test from an ability printed on a scenario card, so I can't use it for the attack, but the 0 wouldn't change the outcome, but it wouldn't change the outcome. So Moonbeast gets 3 damage on it from Spectral Razor. And I think we'll try our luck with... I've got a that's a lore test. We just try to evade it instead? I think that's probably a better plan for Action 3. Luke can take an attack from it. Jenny can't. So I think we'll try to evade the Moonbeast. So Luke is up 2 trying to evade. -1 means Luke evades the Moonbeast. And action... Actually, that's it. Move, Spectral Razor, evade. Okay, so Luke's out of actions. Jenny now is going to try to evade the Cats of Saturn. Cats from Saturn for action 1. So she's going to try to evade, and I'm going to commit Watch This and put 3 resources into it. So that's a 3 to a 4. Jenny's up 2. I'll save the Robes of Endless Night for Jenny's next evasion attempt, assuming this doesn't work. So up 2. That's a -1, which means Jenny evades the Cats from Saturn, and another Swarm card goes to the bottom of Luke's deck. Actually, she also gets 6 resources back. Action 2, Jenny will draw a card. She will draw another Beretta, perfectly timed. Then we'll spend 4 resources for Action 3 to play it out. So we'll replace the old Beretta with the new one and get 4 fresh ammo for it. That was perfect timing on that one. That'll do it for Jenny. That'll do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, we've got both enemies evaded right now. So how do I want to divvy these up? How do I want to divvy these 2 up? I think we'll go... I think we'll go Cats to Luke, Moonbeast to Jenny, because Jenny, I think, right now has the better chance of being able to take that Moonbeast out. Actually, yeah, we'll do it like that. And then we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Luke gains 1 resource and goes to 4. Jenny gains 2 and goes to 14. Luke will look at 2 cards from Forced Learning. First, he will draw Deduction level 2 again, or Ethereal Slip. We'll keep Deduction. Jenny will draw Money Talks. Fast. Play when you initiate a skill test. Instead of the skill type indicated for this test, will, lore, combat, or agility, this is a resource skill test. Your base skill value for this test is equal to half the number of resources in your resource pool, rounded down. Okay, Mythos phase, we are advancing the agenda. Time to kill. There is nowhere left to run. Raise each investigator's alarm level by 1. Each investigator takes horror equal to half their alarm level, rounded up. Reset the agenda deck to 3A, then place 2 doom on that agenda. Okay, this is going to be a problem. So Luke's alarm level goes up to 7. Jenny's goes up to 8. Then rounded up. So Luke will take 4 horror, as will Jenny. So basically, the way things stand now, we have exactly 1 turn left. Actually, we have 2 turns left in this agenda. So things have very much gone sideways for us here. Then we reset that back to 3A and put 2 Doom on it. Delightful. Alright, Luke will draw a Moonbound Bayaki. Spawn at the nearest surface location, which is the Dark Crater. So it can come for either one of us. Jenny will draw Forced into Hiding. Oh, fun. Revelation test Will X, where X is your alarm level. That's an 8? Yuck. If you fail, lose 1 action. If you fail by 3 or more, lose 2 instead. If you fail by 5 or more, lose 3 actions. Right now she'd be at a 14. I think our only chance to survive this test with any actions intact is now we need money talks. So this is going to be a resource test, which means our base value is 7. So Jenny is down 1. So that's where we're at. And we're hoping for a pull. Rune is -1. If you fail, raise your alarm level by 1. Delightful. Which also means we fail by 2, so we lose 1 action for the turn. That could have been a lot worse. The way I've been pulling, I could have very easily seen a tentacle come out of the bag, which meant Jenny would have been probably a dead duck from the looks of that. Actually, she might be a dead duck anyway, but that'll bring us into the investigation phase. So let's see what she can do about this moon beast that's currently breathing down her neck. And of course the damn thing has retaliate on it, because why wouldn't it at this point? Action 1, Jenny's going to spend a charge of ammo from her Beretta. Take a shot at it. Right now she's at a 7 to a 5. She's only up 2, and I don't think she has any combat she can commit to it. Nope. So up 2, trying to take it out. +1, it means we do get to take it out. So we're up. So we were up 2. That brings us up 3, which means we either get to ready the Beretta or the attack does an additional damage. We don't need to ready the... Actually, we don't need the additional damage because 2 will be enough to take it out. So we'll get to ready the Beretta after this. So the Moon Beast is defeated. The Beretta is readied. The question is it going to stay readied, or are we going to try to take out the cats on Luke? Actually, I have not been paying attention at all to Virgil Gray, so I'm not going to worry about that at this point. Actually, we should have been discarding swarm cards from the cats from Saturn. I've been terrible at remembering that. So, we're going to pretend that one of these went away last time it moved. Now that I remember remembering that. Now I think we are... That Moonbound Bayaki's coming for Jenny, and Jenny won't survive. Luke won't survive either. So the question here is, do we go up to the Dark Crater and try to take out that Moonbound Bayaki now? Well, the problem here is we're running low on time. No matter how we do this, here's the thing. A Doom and an Ancient Evils just ends the scenario. So, do we even care about that Bayaki at this point? I think the answer is going to take us over to the map. Action 2, Jenny's going to move over to the Black Core. The answer about if I care about the buyout key is no, only in the sense of potentially avoiding trauma. We did pull an Ancient Evils out of the deck, so like I said, one more Doom, actually, a Doom and an Ancient Evils would hit us with that trauma anyway. And then action 3, Jenny's going to try the test on the black core again. Either way, it's an up 1. -2 means we fail. No penalty for failing there. That'll do it for Jenny. Luke is going to try to evade the cats from Saturn. And he's going to commit Robes of Endless Night, to go up 2. Actually, he could even just nope out of there. Actually, it's going to be a Hunter anyway, so let's try to exhaust it. Jenny can survive the attack from it. Actually, they both could. But we're going to try to evade it, so up 2. Cultist, as we remember, draw the top card of the encounter deck if it's lower than... If your alarm level's higher, and it's already higher, so we're drawing another card from the encounter deck. Wonderful. And a 0, which actually succeeds. So we do evade the cats from Saturn, thankfully. Action 2, Luke will move over to the black core. Action 3, I think we investigate. The problem is that deduction brings us... Deduction and investments would get Luke to even. Which I think is... I mean, we don't have a choice on this one. So yeah, we're going to investigate for action 3 with a deduction and investments to get us up to even. I'm not concerned about the 2 additional clues if we succeed by 2 or more, because there's only 2 clues on the location. And hey, look at that. Somehow getting up to even and pulling a 0 is a thing, because now we get both clues off of the black core. So, since each surviving investigator is there, we advance. Not that it's going to matter, most likely. Alright. To the other side. The lake of black ichor below the surface of the moon is miles wide and bubbles with warm, noxious pockets of gas. Most of the lake bed is completely solid, and it seems for a moment that Randolph's plan is a dead end after all. Then, you take a final step and your foot is caught by... nothing. Before you can react, you are yanked under the surface. You try to shout a warning to your companions, but your words are swallowed by the black core, along with the rest of your body. Your lungs barely have air. You struggle not to scream as you're carried by a fierce undertow. When you finally emerge, you are in another chamber just like the one you came from, only you can see a shaft of light piercing through the gray crust above you. Moments later, the rest of the party emerges. Did we make it? Virgil asks. Why, I thought that was the end for sure. This will make for an exciting chapter. Put the set-aside caverns beneath the moon, light side of the moon, and the white ship locations into play. Also, we should have lowered our alarm levels by 1 when we defeated the moon lizard. So Luke's down to a 6, Jenny's down to an 8. Alright, so we'll get the caverns beneath the moon. Light side of the moon, and the white ship goes here. I'll get the arrows out for that. Alright. Connection is there. I believe that's a... No. connections here. And we've got the connection here. Yes. And the connection is actually, we're going to loop this a little bit differently. So that's going to go here, here, and here. We'll do it like that. We'll look at the location as they become relevant, but I don't expect we'll see those locations as being relevant. So that'll do it for Luke. That'll do it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the moonbound Bayaki moves to the caverns beneath the moon on the dark side, and the cats from Saturn will wake up as we get ready for the upkeep phase. So we'll reset everything here. And then we'll move back up top for the aforementioned upkeep phase. Luke gains 1 resource and goes to 5. Jenny gains 2 and goes to 16. Luke looks at 2 cards from Forced Learning. First up, he'll find Twilla Catherine Price, Lost in a Dream. 3 cost to play, Lore, Agility on Commit. Fast action, after you spend it, reaction after you spend it, 1 or more charges from a spell asset, exhaust Twilla to place a charge on that asset. 1 and 2 on Soak, or Rite of Seeking, 4 cost to play, Lore on Commit. Uses 3 charges. Action, spend a charge to investigate using Will instead of Lore. If you succeed, discover an additional clue at the location. If you pull a bad symbol, immediately lose all your actions and end your turn. We're going to keep Twilla, even though I don't think she's going to matter for anything here. Jenny will draw. Dark Pact, oh delightful. Campaign mode only. Deal 2 damage to an investigator at your location. When the game ends or you're eliminated, if Dark Pact is still in your hand, remove it from your deck. Search the collection for the price of failure and add it to your deck. Wonderful. We're in a bad spot where we can literally just end the game on the spot. Mythos phase puts our 3rd Doom on the agenda. Luke will draw. Dreamer's Curse. We saw this earlier. Let's see. So right now he's down 1. We'll use... this is bad. We'll use... I've got a plan to get him up... To get him up 1, and True Understanding to put him up 3. So hopefully we can dodge any kind of problems here. -1 means we're clear there. Jenny will draw. Forced into hiding. Oh, great. Test Will X, where X is your alarm level. So we're facing a test of an 8. Once I remembered to discard the... Oh, boy. So Jenny can't commit anything. Once I remembered to lower the alarm level. She's at a 3, and there is nothing I can do about this. So basically, we're hoping for Elder Sign or Jenny's turn is bust. That's a rune, which is -1, raises her alarm level by 1, and wipes out all 3 of her actions for the turn. So Jenny... So I think we're going to just basically be ending the scenario here shortly. So the investigation phase, Luke is going to take us over to the map, and I'll meet you guys over there with a new battery. I expect this will be one of our shorter investigation phases. For action 1, Luke's going to move over to the caverns beneath the moon light side. We'll take a look here. The dead temples on the mountains were so placed that they could have glorified no wholesome or suitable gods. H.P. Lovecraft, The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath. Flips into Shroud of 6, 2 clues. So it's basically the same thing on the light side of the moon, from the dark side of the moon. After you fail a skill test while investigating here, until the end of your turn, reduce its shroud by 2. We'll get the 2 clues for that. Action 2, Oh, I didn't keep it drawn to the flame somehow. Actually, I probably had to commit it earlier. Right now we're at a 3. Clairvoyance would bring me up to a 4, but then I have to hope for a pull. I think our best chance here is to investigate, commit a deduction, and hope for an aforementioned pull. So we're going... So that gets us down 1. Actually, better plan. Do I just take the L and plan on going up? I think I just take the L on this one instead. So it'll still go into the bag, which means deduction next turn will actually put me up 1. So I think that's a better play. Rune, of course, causes us to fail and raises alarm level by 1. And then action 3, now we'll use deduction to go up 1. -2 means we fail that. So that's it for Luke's turn. Jenny had all of her actions wiped out, so that's it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, both the cats from Saturn and the moonbound Bayaki come over and make friends with Jenny. So resolving the attacks, I think we'll have the moonbound Bayaki do its thing first, and Jenny will be defeated by damage. So she'll take a physical trauma on the campaign, or on her first trauma of the campaign. And then those will move there. Then we'll reset everything for Luke. And we'll move back up top for the upkeep phase. Luke will gain 1 resource and go to 6. He will then look at 2 cards from Forced Learning. He will find Fingerprint Kit and another Shriveling. We'll take the Shriveling because why not? Not that it matters anyway. Mythos phase, we advance the agenda. And then as we recall, raise each investigator's alarm level by 1. Luke will take 4 horror, which will defeat him by sanity, so he'll take a mental trauma on that. And then since we're already up top, both investigators have already been defeated, and I've got the resolution we need queued up. Phoenix Knight from the past, take it away.
If no resolution was reached, each investigator was defeated. Despite your best efforts, your pursuers are too many for you to escape unnoticed. You are cornered and taken captive. Virgil tries his best to resist, but Randolph gives in, knowing that his resistance is futile. You are brought into a large domed temple on the dark side of the moon and forced to kneel before one of the moon beasts. It is dressed in gray robes and heavy wrapping, but you see its true visage beneath, its slippery and clammy flesh and its drooling, bulbous lips. Wonderful, it praises its henchman. Our master will be pleased. Behind you, corsairs prevent your escape, while a row of winged things on either side of you squawk rhythmically and flap their wings, a preparation, you suspect, for an unpleasant journey. The moon beast orders its slaves to haul you onto the winged creatures. Bring these wretches to the sacrificial pits, it decrees. They must be judged for their heresy. The moon lizard shall feed well tonight. What? No, this isn't right, Randolph grits his teeth. There is a bright flash of light, and you awaken. You are sitting atop a comfortless and unfamiliar bed. A wave of relief washes over you at first. Have you finally awoken from this endless dream? Then the still, cold void embraces you, and you realize where you truly are. Instead of 4 walls and a ceiling, you are surrounded by a bright, starry cosmos. Galaxies and nebulae in the distance seem to stare back at you with unfeeling cruelty. Your bed floats above along the thinnest of silver threads. Virgil's cat sits up at your feet. You're not awake, the black cat says. Not yet. Another flash of light. The moon beast orders its slaves to haul you onto the winged creatures. Bring these wretches to the high priest in the cold wastes it decrees. They must be judged for their heresy. Worry not, my friends, Randolph whispers to you. Did you hear that? The cold wastes is the region where an unknown Kadath lies. With any luck, they will bring us right to our destination. Randolph is cut off as the moon beast grabs him and pulls him to his feet. No, not you. I know of you. You will be a gift, fodder for the moon lizard. Come. It drags Randolph away before your very eyes. His screams echo off the walls of the temple and fade as he is hauled underground. Then, borne aloft on dreadful, membranous wings, your mounts carry you into the void of space. In your campaign log, record the investigators were carried to the cold wastes. In your campaign log, record Randolph Carter did not survive the voyage. If an investigator's deck contains Randolph Carter, Expert Dreamer, the Dream Eater's card number 59, remove him from that deck for the remainder of the campaign. The lead investigator has earned the False Awakening weakness. The Dream Eater's number 233 does not count toward deck size. Add this card to the lead investigator's deck. Each investigator earns experience equal to the Victory X value of each card in the Victory display. If you are playing the Dream Quest as a 4-part campaign, proceed to Scenario 4A, Where the Gods Dwell. If you are playing the Dream Quest and the Web of Dreams as an interconnected 8-part campaign, and you have not yet played Scenarios 3B, Point of No Return, proceed to that scenario. And you have already played Scenario 3B, Point of No Return, proceed instead to Interlude 3, The Great Ones.
We are playing the Dream Quest and the Web of Dreams as an interconnected 8-part campaign, and we'll be heading to the Point of No Return for the Waking Investigators next week. So, we've got a couple of orders of business to take care of. The investigators did pick up 7 experience from what's in the Victory display. Luke is losing Randolph Carter from his deck and replacing him with False Awakening, which we'll take a look at here once I finish getting everything unsleeved, once I get finished shifting sleeves around. False Awakening, come on. False Awakening begins each game next to the deck, next to the agenda deck with 1 doom on it. Fast as an action, test any skill 2. This test gets +1 per investigator difficulty, which will be a 4. If you succeed, remove False Awakening from the game. Any investigator may trigger this ability. So yeah, we picked that weakness up now as well. But that will do it for this playthrough of Dark Side of the Moon. Wednesday we're headed back to the baseball diamond again for a game of APA baseball using the Merino boards. Saturday we're making the entree on mystical munchies out of the Star Wars Galactic Baking Cookbook, Fallon Posset cheese stuffed sandwich. Next week we're back, as I mentioned, we're back to the Waking Investigators for their 3rd scenario as they venture past the point of no return. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.